Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into an incredibly powerful, really ancient story today, one that has echoed, across cultures and centuries.
Absolutely. It's a narrative with deep roots.
For this deep dive, our source is an excerpt titled Musa and the Parting of the Sea, and it recounts the story of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, and Firawn, specifically drawing from a perspective that references the Qur'an.
Right. So for those listening who might know the broader story, we're really focusing on how this particular source presents it. The nuances, the emphasis points.
Exactly. Think of this as focusing in on the details and insights from this material, our mission, to kind of move beyond just a summary, really grasp the core narrative and the significant moments as they're highlighted here.
Yeah, understanding not just what happened according to this source, but maybe why certain moments are stressed. What might they reveal about, say, faith or oppression and liberation from this viewpoint?
So the source takes us back, way back to ancient Egypt. It paints a picture of a land under the heavy hand of a ruler it identifies as Firawn. Immense power and cruelty, too.
It certainly does. The text describes him having huge authority and, crucially, claiming a divine status for himself, which is, a big deal.
Huge. And under his rule, the source really highlights the severe oppression faced by the children of Israel, Bani Isra'eel.
Yes, and it wasn't just harsh conditions or labor, though that was likely part of it.
Right, the source points to something even more brutal, doesn't it? A specific decree.
That's right. It explicitly mentions Firawn ordering the killing of every newborn boy from Bani Isra'eel. That detail really underscores the existential threat they were facing. It's chilling.
Truly chilling. And it's into this incredibly dangerous world that Musa is born. And what's fascinating, as the source recounts it, is how his life is immediately marked by, well, divine intervention.
Leading him to be raised of all places within Firawn's own palace, even by Firawn's wife, according to this account.
That juxtaposition is just striking in the narrative, isn't it?
It really is. The very target of Firawn's cruelty is, by a turn of divine will described in the source, brought up right under his nose, basically, safe from the decree aimed at his people.
So fast forward years later, according to the source, Musa has this direct encounter with the divine on a mountain, and he receives his mission there.
And the command is pretty clear, pretty direct. Go to Firawn, he has gone far in his sins. Tell him, let the children of Israel go.
So it frames Pharaoh's rule not just as politically oppressive, but fundamentally as a moral or spiritual transgression, as the source puts it.
Exactly. That's a key framing in this text.
So Musa, and he's accompanied by his brother Harun, goes to confront this powerful king, this self-proclaimed God king. How does the source describe that first meeting? It must have been intense.
Oh, definitely. It portrays Firawn's reaction as, well, profound arrogance, dismissal. He seems to scoff at Musa's claim.
Does he bring up the past like, I raised you?
Yes, exactly. He brings up his role in Musa's upbringing, essentially saying, how can you, someone I basically raised, come to me with this message? Trying to undermine him personally.
That feels like such a classic power move, doesn't it? Attack the messenger, ignore the message.
Precisely. And the source says Firawn just stubbornly refused. Flat out refused to release the people.
Despite Musa warning him about consequences.
Absolutely. The text emphasizes his unyielding resistance. He wasn't budging. Not on the divine command, not on freeing Bani Isra'eel.
Okay, here's where the narrative in the source gets really dramatic, right?
Yeah.
After this flat refusal, a series of signs begin, or punishments, depending on how you look at it.
Yes, the source lists them out sequentially. First, the river turning to blood. I mean, the Nile, the source of life for Egypt, becoming unusable. Imagine that.
Devastating.
And then
the land is plagued by frogs. Just frogs everywhere, followed by lice. Then these devastating swarms of locusts that would have wiped out crops. And finally, a thick, oppressive darkness covering the land. Wow. That's quite a sequence. And the source highlights a pattern here, doesn't it? It mentions that each time one of these calamities hit.
Yes, that's a critical detail the source emphasizes. Each time it got really bad, Firawn would appeal to Musa. He'd ask him to intercede, to pray for the plague to be lifted.
And he'd promise, right? Promise to let the people go.
He'd promise every time, get rid of this plague and I'll let them go.
But then,
as soon as the hardship passed, he'd immediately break that promise. He'd go right back on his word.
So this cycle repeats through multiple signs. What does that reveal about Firawn from the source's perspective?
Well, it seems to underscore this deep-seated resistance, almost pathological. It's not just political maneuvering anymore. The source presents it as a spiritual hardening of the heart, an inability or maybe unwillingness to submit to any power greater than his own perceived authority.
Even when faced with these undeniable, massive signs.
Even then. This pattern, as the source presents it, is really key to understanding why things escalate the way they do. It sets the stage for the final acts, really.
It certainly does. So, after this whole cycle of promises made and broken, the definitive command finally comes, doesn't it? For the children of Israel to actually leave Egypt.
Yes, the source describes Allah instructing Musa, "Take my servants by night and leave. You will be pursued." So there's a warning baked right into the command itself. They know they'll be chased.
Imagine that. Planning a secret exodus, thousands of people, slipping away under the cover of darkness, the fear, the hope, walking all night.
That night journey, as it's recounted, is this huge act of faith and obedience, isn't it?
Yeah.
A physical manifestation of leaving behind generations of bondage.
But as foretold, their escape doesn't go unnoticed for long.
No. By morning, Firawn realizes they're gone, and he's enraged. He gathers the full might of his army, horses, chariots, the works.
And they're in hot pursuit, bearing down on these fleeing people.
And this chase, as the source describes it, leads them right to the edge, the seemingly inescapable climax. Musa and his people, after journeying all night, find themselves right at the edge of this immense sea.
The Red Sea, traditionally, they are this huge, impassable body of water stretching out before them. No boats, no bridge, no way across.
And behind them,
Behind them, the sounds of the approaching army getting louder, getting closer. Dust clouds on the horizon, maybe. The source really captures the people's reaction in that moment, doesn't it? That feeling of being trapped.
oh, absolutely. It quotes their cry of panic. "Musa, they're going to catch us. We're trapped." You can just feel the terror.
That feeling of being cornered, an impossible barrier ahead, an unstoppable force behind. It's incredibly vivid. The source presents this as the ultimate test, it seems.
Definitely. The absolute low point, humanly speaking.
And Musa's response right there at that terrifying precipice. It's such a pivotal moment in the narrative, isn't it? The source emphasizes his unwavering faith.
Yes, exactly. Instead of despair or panic like his people,
Yeah.
the source quotes Musa's calm and resolute declaration. He says, "No, my Lord is with me. He will guide me."
Wow. Just absolute trust in the face of utter hopelessness.
That statement is presented as the core of it all, really. The required response. Faith when everything looks lost.
And it's immediately followed by the most incredible event, as the source describes it. The divine command comes through.
Strike the sea with your staff. Just that.
And he does it. And the source's description of what happens next is just incredibly powerful, very visual. It says the sea split open.
Yes. And the water, this huge mass of water, it didn't just recede, it rose up on either side of them.
The text uses this really striking imagery, saying the water rose like great walls, and even stronger, that each part became like a huge mountain. What does that language, huge mountain, convey to you?
Well, it emphasizes the sheer scale, right, and the impossibility of it from any natural perspective. Mountains are the epitome of fixed, solid, immense things. So describing walls of water like mountains just highlights how much this defied the natural order.
So it wasn't just a low tide or something easily explained away.
Not according to the source, no. It was monumental, divinely willed, creating this solid, dry path right through the heart of the sea.
Incredible. And so, through this miraculous path, Musa led his people across, safely. The source makes it clear they all got across without harm.
Right. They make it to the other side. But the story isn't quite over yet, is it?
No, because just as the last of Bani Isra'eel reached the far shore, Firawn and his entire army, they arrived at the path.
And blinded by arrogance or rage or maybe just disbelief, they entered that same path in hot pursuit.
Thinking they could just follow where this divine miracle had just occurred.
Precisely. And as they were all in there, in the middle of the sea path, the second command came. The waters, which had been held back like mountains, they were released.
And the source recounts the outcome with this stark finality. The sea just collapsed back onto them, drowning Firawn and his entire force.
Yes, the source quotes directly here from Surah Ash-Shu'ara, and we drowned the others. It's decisive. The end of his tyranny over Bani Isra'eel as presented in this narrative.
And Musa and his people, they witnessed this from the safety of the shore.
They witnessed it. They weren't just physically free. They had just seen this profound demonstration of divine power, the fulfillment of the promise Musa had declared just moments before.
It's an incredibly dramatic conclusion. And the source then wraps up by pulling out the core lesson it wants us, the reader or listeners, to take away from this whole sequence.
Yes, it states it very clearly. It says, no matter how hopeless the road looks, no matter how strong your enemy may seem, if you walk with faith, Allah will make a way.
So it presents this narrative not just as ancient history, but as a timeless teaching, really, about the power, the outcome of faith when you're facing seemingly impossible odds.
Exactly. That's the main takeaway emphasized in this particular source text.
So let's just quickly recap what this all means based on our deep dive into the source material. We've gone through the key elements presented, the cruel oppression under Firawn.
His claim to divinity, the specific targeting of the newborn boys.
Right. Then Musa's divine mission, his confrontation with Firawn and Pharaoh's stubborn resistance. That cycle of refusal, even through all those divine signs, the river to blood, the frogs, lice, locusts, the darkness,
And his pattern of promising to relent, only to break his word repeatedly.
which led to the desperate escape by night, the terrifying chase by Pharaoh's massive army,
And that moment of being utterly trapped at the sea's edge, the people panicking.
and Musa's powerful declaration of faith in that moment. No, my Lord is with me. He will guide me.
We saw how that absolute faith, according to the source, immediately preceded the pivotal command, strike the sea with your staff.
And the source's really vivid description of the waters splitting, standing like immense mountains, creating that impossible dry path.
We followed as Musa led his people safely across that path, and then just as Firawn and his army entered it themselves.
The waters returned, overwhelming them, drowning them, as the source quotes, and we drowned the others.
The whole sequence, as this source emphasizes, culminates in that profound lesson that walking with faith can create a way even through the most hopeless-looking situations against the strongest enemy.
This narrative, as presented here, is such a powerful depiction of reliance on, well, divine will to overcome what looks like an absolutely insurmountable physical and military obstacle.
It really highlights the courage needed, doesn't it, to maintain faith and, crucially, to act on that faith, even when you are literally trapped between an advancing enemy and an impassable sea.
Which really brings us to a final thought, a question for you, our listeners, to consider. The source emphasizes that if you walk with faith, a way will be made no matter how strong the enemy or how hopeless the road looks. So how do you interpret walking with faith when facing your own seemingly impossible challenges or seas in life? Something to perhaps reflect on, drawing from the insights of this powerful story.